glass of water. And it's it. How many atoms are there in that drop of water which I showed before you? Just a guess. How much? Infinite. 4 moles. 10 moles. Just guess a number. 250 moles. Millions, yes. Millions. Very good. Commerce students should know how many atoms are there. You have to sell those atoms and make money. So, this was a question which was asked to me by Dr. Homi Bhabha for joining the Atomic Energy Commission. He just showed this drop of water and asked me how many atoms are there. Then I said it contains 6.03 into 10 to the power of 23 into 18 by 3 by 20. Now, this is what we study at intermediate. In intermediate, we study that H2O is water. That is 18 grams of water is 1 mole. Okay? And 1 gram is equal to 1 ml. Density of water is 1. So 18 ml contains 6.03 into 10 to the power of 23 molecules. Multiply it by 3. So that many atoms. Now you have to get this in 1 minute. Either you know or you don't know, you're out. And this is not great magical chemistry. It's very simple. But this is what we studied in 8th standard, 9th standard, and we have perfected this by 10th, 11th, and 12th. Now, only thing you have to remember is 20 drops make 1 ml. That is why you have to do the counting portion of it. So, in life, we get such very complex situations. That is what I want to say. Now, what are the emerging trends? Look at me. What are the emerging trends when you look at my face? Emerging trends by looking at me. Can you guess? A receding hairline. That is a trend. After 2 years, 3 years, there will be total hair of loss and I will be bald. So the emerging trends are, when you see something today, you should be able to predict what will be. Today my grandson has written 12th standard. After 5 years, my second grandson will write another 12, let's assume, because they have done that. What will be the difference between the questions my first grandson will do and my second grandson will do? That is the difficulty over this. May I ask you to get up? All of you please get up. Science means knowing and doing things. I want some boys over there. Do we have, for every control experiment, we need some boys. Please come. So let me have 7 girls here. Just come here, yes. 7 boys. Science is doing things. Please come, please come. Oh, very good. Thank you. This side. You are most wanted. Yes, very good. Thank you. Oh, excellent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Unbalanced. Yes, you are the balancing act. Please. Now we have 8 boys, 8 girls. They are called experimental animals. because they have to do some experiment. Let us see. Please stand in the increasing order of your height. Increasing order of your height. Now you see there is confusion. This is how atoms move about. We say in science, you must be scientific. To be scientific means follow some rules. So we are now trying to find out, this is what is called pattern recognition. In future, all jobs will be based on pattern recognition. So many people bought this material. So many people bought another cosmetic. So we have to find out the pattern of use. So I have created a pattern. Is it all right for the audience? Are they standing according to their increasing height? This side? You have to be in a straight line. Otherwise, their view will be. Okay. Now we have created two patterns. A recognizable pattern in which we can see that they are following a certain order. Now please stand according to your body weight. The problem is, this is called scientific numeracy. Don't disclose your weight, but just stand according to your body weight. There will be mutual consultation about some numbers, and they will come to you, and you will not be able to say whether there is a pattern or not, although there is a pattern. So all I wanted to tell you is pattern is not visible, is not luminous, and there is a pattern. Finding the pattern which is not visible is the business of science. Every scientist will be able to find out what is a pattern, what is not a pattern. Now I would request you to stand according to your body mass index. Now they are thinking body mass index. 3 words giving trouble. Your body weight in kilogram divided by your height in meters squared. This numeracy gives problems. And this is a classical example. I don't think anyone is doing the mathematics here. Are you? No. Fine, okay. It's enough. It's enough if you know, with a given material, we can have several patterns created. And creation of patterns, recognition of the patterns, that is what science is, nothing more than that. Now I will ask a very difficult question. Are boys more intelligent or girls more intelligent? You can raise your hand. Boys are more intelligent or girls are more intelligent? The business of science is to ask stupid questions. Science alone has the right and licentiousness to ask the silliest question. So, who is more intelligent? Both are equally? Okay. So, they say intelligence level is constant. So, I will ask you to do a small experiment. Let us do a test. You know your right hand? All boys and girls, do you know your right hand? Fine. Before doing an experiment, you should be very familiar with every part of the equipment. So, the equipment which we need to do an experiment right now is your right hand. And which is your right hand index finger. Is this? Perfect. You're all very knowledgeable so far, right? You know your right hand. You know your right hand index finger. Now I would request you to do something and let us see how you do it. Yes. All ready for the experiment? Right? Please touch your chin. And you get a bright boy over there. Now, we do not know which is our cheek, which is our chin. So, you said boys and girls are equally intelligent, right? Boys and girls are equally unintelligent. This is called a creative question. When a creative question comes and you are given a visual clue, you will follow the visual clue, you will start thinking. First of all, we don't think. When we think, we don't think critically. And when a question numerical is involved, you find it more difficult. And when a fool like me stands before you and show you, this is my chin, you are willing to believe. So where is the critical faculty available to us? Why did you do that way? Yes, an answer. This is it. You know the problems in communication. These are the visual problems in communication. In science, every word has to be understood absolutely clear. Okay, now we will, you can take this. Now I will ask you a question. I have a pencil with me and I also have got an eraser. I paid 1 rupee 10 paise for this. I went to a shop and he asked me to pay 1 rupee 10 paise. I gave it. This pencil costs 1 rupee more than the eraser. Together I paid 1 rupee 10 paise. What is the cost of the pencil and what is the cost of the eraser? 1 rupee 10 paise. Quickly. 1 rupee 10 paise. What is the cost of the pencil? Together I give, but my pencil costs 1 rupee more than the eraser. Commerce first. So selling and making money. This costs 5 paise and this costs 1 rupee 5 paise. Together it becomes 1 rupee 10 paise. But immediately we will say this is 1 rupee, this is 10 paise, I paid 1 rupee 10 paise. But I said pencil costs 1 rupee more than the eraser. So eraser is 5 paise, 1 rupee more, 1 rupee 5 paise. Together it becomes, this is called critical thinking. We do not think, we get an answer and we are satisfied. On getting satisfied with the least effort, please remember you have gone wrong. That's what it is. So you know the difficulty of very creative and critical thinking. Now let me take you to some places. Yes. Does this work out? No, it was working when you gave me. Maybe I damaged it. So emerging trends in 21st century. Oh, bad ones. Morning we lit this lamp. Here is a drop of oil. Is it coconut oil, gingerly oil, till oil, or what oil is this? You want to smell? Okay, yes. Very scientific approach. I have not smelled the other oils. So you need to smell all the oils in the world. This is stearic acid. That is coconut oil. Now in this coconut oil, morning I explained to you, 12th standard, when you want to go into any another profession, like commerce, law, literature, your scientific foundation at 12th should be very great. And that is your life science capital throughout your life. So we are asking for an advanced system. This is called next generation science standards. And this is tried all over USSR and USA. The next generation science standards. We have no physics and chemistry, it is called physical sciences. We have no botany and zoology, it is called life sciences. And we have added geo and space sciences and engineering sciences. So there are only 4 branches of knowledge till you leave science at 12th standard. So since you are likely to leave science at 12th standard, the highest quantity and highest quality of science should be given to you. That is why the syllabus all over the world has been written differently. The problem will not come if you have done your 12th standard very correctly under the new system. And also the emerging trends. Whatever profession you will take, this 12th standard science will take care of all your. You only need additional skills to be added to that. Your fundamentals are very strong for doing any activity as far as your other professions are concerned. So a strong base. And here we started this school. We started this school because none of the schools, none of the colleges in India could provide the people who can do work in atomic energy. Neither the IITs nor any of the advanced higher education institutions could provide the input for scientific work in India. Therefore, he started this school for 1 year. You have to pass an examination for 2000 marks. And each paper will be on 50. If you are a chemist, you will learn chemical engineering, you will never learn chemistry. What you have not studied in your college will be taught over here, and in 1 year, you have to pass this 2000 exam. And if you get 1800 marks out of 2000, you become a scientist. Otherwise, you should not be found anywhere near a research institution. So therefore, the choice is painful, poignant. Either you become a scientist, you can never hope to become a scientist. So that is what Homi Bhabha's training school is. This is the 66th batch running now. We take 200 scientists, either M.Tech or B.Tech, whatever. It should be a first class. The last degree you have taken is a first class. This continues. So that's the school where we studied. Now I want you to think about what is most important in life is a mindset. It is not the memory you have. We can all have a photographic memory. You should be able to remember everything that has been taught in the class. No use. You should be able to have a mindset and an ability to change mindset from one to another 4 other mindsets. So all students by another 5 years should be able to have a mindset which is a mixture or a compound of 5 different mindsets. I'll show you what the mindsets required are. At the moment, what has happened in the old system, which is happening now over here, is that we have 30%, that is 1/3 of the people are totally dissatisfied after getting a job, including the Indian Administrative Service. People are not happy with what the chair, where you stand in life depends on where you sit, in which chair you sit. But sitting in a chair, you can be extremely unhappy. That's what shows here. And another 15%, half of that, I don't care. I should get my salary, that's all. I'm not concerned with what happens. 8 hours of occupational exposure to your job and take your salary and go home. That's called apathy. Then there is ambivalent. I will change if I get a better job. So every morning you will be screening the newspapers to find out which is the next job available. So you cannot have continued, sustained legacy to the job which you are going to do. That's the next problem. And then, in spite of all this, less than half of the people are thriving and flourishing in their job. So we have only 42% satisfied people. We have 58 dissatisfied, disgruntled type of people. And this happens across all cultures, across all disciplines, and no matter, including the medical profession. This survey was conducted among neurologists. I mean, neurologists are supposed to know all the neurons of your brain, and they also suffer from this problem. So, therefore, we did a skill analysis. What would be the skill set we require by 2035, by 2020 and 2030? That's the time horizon in which it was done. And we found that adaptability, in fact, Professor IIT professor director was mentioning this adaptability. Adaptability is your ability to change. Like the chameleon, you should be able to change your color depending upon what the environment is. That's called adaptability. In fact, monkeys have adapted, chimpanzees, orangutans, they have all adapted, that's why we have come. But although monkeys have adapted, we are not able to adapt as good as the chimpanzees and the monkeys. That's a problem. That's a monkey problem which we are suffering from. Then, 85% of the skill set will be for problem solving. Look at this pencil eraser, that's a problem. And when we are asked to solve a problem, we find problem solving is not easy. And 85% of all the jobs which we will be asked to do by after 5 years, or when you graduate and get into the job platform, you will be able to have problem solving capabilities. It's easy to say what a problem solving capability is. What is a problem? That we have not understood. A problem is a difference between what is and what should be. What should be the price of the pencil and what is the price of the pencil? And I have given a rider for that. So you should be able to find the difference between what is and what should be. That's called the problem. And recognizing the problem, evaluating the problem, and solving it is a very heavy mind-boggling exercise. And that is a skill which we require, whether it's a problem of a surgery or whether it's a problem of anesthesia, it's a problem of building a reactor or building a bridge, the problem-solving capability will be the same. So that's what is required. Collaboration skills will be required 81%. This morning, Director IIT gave a classical example, A plus B whole squared. A squared plus B squared plus 2AB. That 2AB should not be minus. He gave a beautiful exposition of the cooperative skill. So that is the third one which we require. Then, your resilience, your capability to withstand stress and strain under operating conditions. That's the problem which we call the EQ, the emotional. For example, if, during COVID, your salary has been frozen. For 2 years, you are not going to get any increment. How will you respond to that? You are expecting 1,000 rupees every 6 months on a salary rise. During COVID, it's frozen. And how will you react? That's the type of resilience required from you. You respond to a situation without getting involved in that. Then we get to creativity and innovation. In fact, today, or after 5 years, when you look for MSc or MTech or any of those courses, you will find entrepreneurship. Many universities are giving BSc entrepreneurship. If you are not able to do something better than what you did yesterday, you are not going to survive. For example, suppose you have a coconut with you and you want to open a coconut, remove the. You take the coconut in your hand. You take a felling knife. Let's assume this is a coconut. I have a felling knife. I put one and twist. Once more twist. So I get 3 de-shelled coconuts. How many of you know how to do coconut dehusking without cutting your finger? Yeah, because we have skill set for that. Now the idea is an entrepreneur will come who will be able to do it 100 every hour. That is, you have a fixed sphere over here in which under gravity you pressure it, twist it, you can do it fast. A professor of mechanical engineering from former NSS college has developed this, and yesterday he was demonstrating that. That is called innovation. So innovation is problem solving in a different way. And all of us should be able to do this problem solving. That is what is called creativity and innovation. In fact, today we speak about not science and technology, we speak about STI, science, technology, innovation. Government of India has got a program called STI. We have Athel Tingle laboratories all over the country, and there every student before graduation should be able to get at least one patent registered. Now, how many of us have thought about getting a patent registered under our name? We have not. So, I met my Vice Chancellor. I work for a university called HSNC University. My Vice Chancellor told me, this year I want 100 patents to be taken. That is the minimum required under the University Grants Commission. So all my students are working on getting at least one patent registered. There are 2 ways of getting a patent, a design patent or a process patent. Getting a design patent is easy because even in the 2nd year or 3rd year, you will be able to have a design patent. But if you want to have a process patent, For example, the deshelling of this coconut, you have to demonstrate it. That will take a longer time. So most of you, before the age 22, you should be able to have one patent in your name. How many of you have thought about getting a patent on your name? Most of you, yes. Would you like to get a patent? In which age? Pardon? From today. Have you thought of getting a patent in your name? So that's what is it. Even if you want to write a poem, you should be able to get copyright for your problem. Nobody should have, you should not copy from somebody else. Plagiarism should not be there. So the challenge before all of you is, the challenge I had is very simple. I only need to know how many atoms are in a drop of water, which is a 9th standard problem. You are going to do 100 times more complex problem. Your world is very different. And you should be prepared for that. I am not frightening you, but boys and girls of your age are solving both in USA and in USSR problems of a very different magnitude. So we have to find out where we stand locally, but what are our compatriots doing at this age? That's the point I want to bring to your point. Then, of course, leadership skills. This is a tricky problem. Everybody wants to be a leader. But you can be leader only if you have followers. And the larger the number of followers, the greater the leader you are. So all of you cannot be leaders. So your ability to become a leader and a follower simultaneously, that dynamic equilibrium of becoming a leader and a follower at the same time, that's very difficult. Once you are a leader, you will feel I am a leader for life. A leader cannot be a follower. So your ability to change these two conditions simultaneously. Today I am a leader, tomorrow I am a follower. That is the leadership skill we are looking for. Of course, as far as digital skills, I am not sure to what extent we have absorbed and internalized digital skills into our system, but most of you are familiar with your mobile phones, which you will be using very energetically. That means digital skill over an entertainment issue is very high. But if you want to solve problems, mathematical problems using your mobile phone, you will not be that comfortable. That's what I want to tell you, yes. Then, risks will multiply maddeningly in future. And risk management will be the main thing. The world will be full of risks. About 1,000-fold risk will appear in 5 years' time. So you should be able to find out what a risk is. What will you do? Your plan B, C should be already in your mind. It is not a travel by a train. You get into this station and you will reach over there. In between, you will be shunted. So that is the risk management which you have. Many of us may not reach the destination we have bought the ticket for. We will have to get down and change the trains. So that's the risk management. And I told you, 53%, that is the STEM skills, the science, technology, engineering, maths skills. At 12th standard, when you leave your school, you should be having a strong foundation in science, which will stand you in good stead all through your life. That is the irreducible minimum of package, the intellectual capital, which you carry to your college or whatever degree you take, your STEM will be strong. On a weak STEM foundation, you cannot have any professional degrees at all. Be it humanities, be it psychologies, be it biological sciences, be it finance, you should be exceptionally strong in this. For example, the first classical example that comes to your mind is economics. If you do not know econometrics, and if you cannot derive linear functions, you will not be able to learn that in great depth. Then I mentioned to you entrepreneurial skill. Of course, dehusking the coconut is the classical example. If you can do something better than what you do, if you can crack an eggshell with the minimum number of damage to that, then you are an expert in that. So there is a skill in doing things. If you are making a masala dosha, you take a dough, you heat a plate, you spread it and you will get a sound, shay. You lift it up with a paddle, turn it down, you will get another sound, shay, a longer sound. That's why you get two sounds, therefore it's called dosha. Why is it called dosha? It makes two noises. But the art of making a dosha is very different. If I make a dosha, one side will be charred, other side will be brown, other side will be white. So improper, uneven cooking. The highest biochemistry, the art of doing things, the fine art of doing things is the scientific way of doing it. There are two ways of doing anything in life, the scientific way and the unscientific way. And dosha is the classical example. You can make the rotten dosha, and you can make the finest aromatic dosha with the same color, with the number of holes distributed uniformly across the texture of the dosha. If there are 2,000 holes in a dosha, the 2,000 holes will be distributed very, very circularly around that. Otherwise, one big hole, one small hole, and the whole thing will break. So think of life as making a masala dosha. And then you will find the art of making it. And it's not enough if you make the dosha. You should be able to make the masala, the spice of that. That's what gives you its flavor. So how much turmeric will you add? What will be the cooking speed required for making your potato? To what size will you slice your onions? These are all very complex. This is not the culinary art. And therefore, there was one man called Nair-san in Tokyo. His dosha was so famous, Dr. Sarabhai and Professor M.G.K. Menon used to rush to Tokyo to eat dosha of Nair-san. So in Tokyo, the Trivandrum Nair has gone and made dosha so universal and so global, so great, that great scientists rush to Tokyo to eat that dosha, not the dosha made in other places. That shows the scientific content of everything. So there is a science in everything. If you spit, you can scientifically spit, you can unscientifically spit. Even if you are wearing the mask, which is supposed to reduce it is supposed to attenuate the aerosols coming to you in the form of virals. The way you wear mask is very important. You can always put a cloth over here, but that will not do the filtering process properly. So remember, for everything there is a scientific way of doing, and there is an, and most of us do the unscientific way of thinking because we use scientific instruments unscientifically. And wearing the mask is a classical example. Yes. So 2030, there will be 4 different worlds. And where will you enter? You are positioned in the 4 worlds. There is a red world, there is a blue world, a green world, and a yellow world. What color do you like? And you have to prepare for this world, and you have to choose the color of your world you are going to enter when you are in 12th standard. Before you leave your school, you should be able to decide where you are entering. And corresponding to these 4 worlds, you should have 4 mindsets. And that 4 mindsets you should be able to change rapidly. So your ability to have 4 mindsets and your ability to change those mindsets constantly, depending on the situation, as fast as a chameleon changes its color, that is what is expected of us. This is called the agile psychology, which all of you should possess, which we didn't possess. But we know, I know my grandson possesses it, I don't do it. So I ask him, am I possessing this or not? When I make a slide like this, I show first my grandson. And he will say, this is okay. Without getting his permission, I will not present anything to the audience because I'll be totally out of sight. That's the reason. So I showed all of them, got his approval. Now, this is the jobs at risk. For example, 38% of the jobs are in risk on the mechanical engineering side. I am not saying that don't take mechanical engineering. You take mechanical engineering, but don't do as mechanical engineers do. In fact, the best way is to study mechanical engineering and become a chemical engineer. There are 2 advantages. You can speak chemical engineering to chemical engineers. You can speak mechanical engineering also to chemical engineers, so that you will be one up above both of them. This is the advantage of your discipline, double disciplinarity in every subject. Yes. And 38% of these jobs, mechanical jobs will go, these are the jobs at risk. So if you are planning for any of these jobs in the electronic industry, wherever the country, whichever country you are going to be out of this. Now, specialization. To what extent should you specialize? We go to a specialist thinking that the finest and the best of advice will be obtained. There are cardiac surgeons who perform only on the right artery of the heart and not on the left artery. If you have a problem with the left artery, you have to go to another cardiologist. Specialization has gone to such an extent. A problem in the right ear will be seen by one ENT surgeon, and that of the left ear will be seen by another ENT surgeon. So over-specialization will be the rule of the law, but as discussed this morning, dental surgery, facial surgery, and orthosurgery will be merged. You should be able to have that complementarity principle. Your ability to have not only interdisciplinary, as many multidisciplinary skills as possible. So never think of a single disciplinary depth. I will come to that a short while later. So this is the yellow world. Our preference should be like turmeric color. Think of masala dosha and turmeric. That's the fine world. In the turmeric world of human come first, whatever be the problem, a mechanical problem, a chemical problem, a neurological problem, man first. So concern for man and his fate, concern for humans and their fate, that is the objective of all education. If you remove that from your scheme, you are nowhere. So that's why we speak of the yellow world. Now, you can either have a fragmented knowledge, I mentioned to you a short while ago, deep knowledge in one subject and no knowledge in other subjects. That will not work. It is better to have averageness is attractiveness. Although we say that average is no good and everybody should be above average, in life, averageness is attractiveness. If you are getting 50 marks in two subjects, it's better than getting 70 in one and 30 in the other. This 70-30 problem and the 50 problem, that shows averageness is attractiveness. And all through we should look at after 12th. Don't do this before 12th, you'll be all in great trouble. And social responsibility, that's what we call the green color. Most of us are expected to be very green, sustainable world. That is, whatever we use, we should be able to put back. This is a finite world. Total resources are constant. Consumption is increasing. And therefore, you should have a sustainable life. And that sustainability is shown by the green world is the ultimate objective. But first, we should be able to have a yellow world. That is the choice which you have to make. But if you want to be totally competitive, that your business is to outwit everybody else in the class and be alone in the far ahead of it, then you go to the red world. You don't care, merciless, ruthless. That's a different world. And there are people who prefer that route. So therefore, for 21st century skills, there is a basket. Everybody gives a basket. I also give my basket. So in this basket, but this basket is given by the Technology Vision 2047. When India becomes 100 years as an independent country, scientists have sat together and we have formed a document which is called the Technology Vision 2047. And that document, 2047 document, gives these 16 skills required for every Indian in 2047. And 2047 is not very far. So you must think of, we are speaking about literacy, we have passed that stage. Then we speak about numeracy, we are still lagging behind. Look at the pencil eraser problem. We have a numeracy problem. We don't have a literacy problem. We do definitely have a literacy problem. Yes. And scientific literacy is more a problem. I told you about lighting of the lamp, sorption, adsorption, absorption, chemisorption. That's the way scientists look at it. For others, put a wick in oil, it burns. Problem solved. But if you want to understand something, to understand means to be technically familiar with all the intricate details. That needs a scientific approach to this lighting of the lamp. So that is what we call scientific literacy. Then information computer technology literacy is fine. Now financial literacy, most people are happy with the input output and I get this much, I spend this much, this is my balance. But increasingly you will be able to have your personal revenue monitored by financial literacy. And now government of India is saying that financial literacy should be taught as an integral part of our 10th standard syllabus. Then, cultural and civic literacy. This you will not feel as long as in PALGHAT. But if you go to Coimbatore, you will find there is a difference. And how can you accept and assimilate somebody who thinks differently from others? If somebody is doing with the right hand, someone is doing with the left hand. And this right-handedness and left-handedness, the dextro-levo-rotatory, is a big problem culturally. So as you move over, when you become the global citizen, you will find you must be silent on certain issues. That's what we call cultural and civic literacy. Then critical thinking and problem solving, I mentioned both, we did that here. That is the item number 7 for 2047. Then creativity. Creativity is very easily expressed, but is extremely difficult to do. Okay. Take a cabbage. Take a cabbage leaf and crush it in your hand. We can all do that because we have got cabbage at home. What thoughts comes to your mind when you crush a cabbage? That's where your creativity comes. Take an ordinary cabbage, external leaf, take it in your right hand, just crush it and put it over there. What thoughts come to your mind at that point of time? Anything comes to your mind? Creativity is association with other things than what you are in front of you. In front of you, you have got a cabbage, and you have a cabbage leaf, and you have just crushed it. Matter is over. Physically, it's over. If you can remember George Bernard Shaw, now you are going far away from cabbage, and there is a play written by him, The Pygmalion. And professors of English will tell you that in Pygmalion there is a Professor Higgins who speaks correct English. So when he went to the St. John's Church in London, he saw a girl speaking very bad English, rotten English. And he said, "You squashed cabbage leaf. You incarnate insult to the noble architecture of these columns and to the language of Shakespeare and Milton and the Bible." Now, Shakespeare and Milton and the Bible, St. Paul's Cathedral, George Bernard Shaw, Pygmalion, Professor Henry Higgins, Eliza Doolittle, and those who are film goers, My Fair Lady, all of them should flash to your mind when you see a cupboard, when you see a cabbage in your hand. That is called cultural heritage. And your life becomes exciting, highly valued, when you have access to this information. The cabbage will not tell you that story. A simple cabbage which you buy from the market will not tell you about George Bernard Shaw and Pygmalion and St. Paul's Cathedral. So if you have read literature, if you are able to recall all this, that is what creativity is. Creativity is not creating something fresh, because there are limitations to making something totally new. But all the great things which others have done, if you can recall into your mind at a point of time, on seeing one object, that is called creativity at its best. And science, morning we were speaking about tungsten, which was used as Thomson's experiment, in which 2,000 times he failed. Then finally Thomas Alva Edison brought out tungsten as that is called creativity. That creativity comes from trying and trial and error. So that is creativity. Then communication. Communication is the ability to speak. And most of us think that if you can speak about 100 words per minute, you are a great communicator. It's not so. It is not the 100 words you speak in a minute that's important. It is your ability to drive home the ideas behind those words. Then only you become a communicator. Collaboration. We spoke about that equation. Then curiosity. Curiosity is to look at something fresh, differently. I will again come back to this. If you had curiosity, you would have looked at this light burning situation very differently. Why should this light burn? Why a liquid and a solid and a vapor, three states of matter, are happening right in front of you? You have the liquid oil, you have the solid wick, cellulose, and you have the vapor which is set fire, and that is in the fourth state of matter. So that is called curiosity. Looking at things and seeing things different from what others are seeing. That's what we call curiosity. Then initiative. Yes, you can be curious and then sleeping. When you see something happening differently, you should be able to do something about it, either to increase its efficiency or to decrease its efficiency. So if these flames were very turbulent, so all the 8 wicks were burning very high, you should be able to draw them back. So the length of the wick exposed to the air, that's where you get oxidation happening more. So the rate of oxidation can be controlled by pulling back the wick. That is curiosity and action based on curiosity. You don't have to go to the laboratory to do anything. Life itself is a laboratory. And everything you see around is so scientific. It is possible for you to control. And you can see the effect yourself. If you pull the wick back, automatically the height of the flame will come down. And if you do it too fast, the flame will go away. So your ability to adjust, that's what curiosity-based action. That's what is called. Then persistence. Classical example, Thomas Alva Edison again. 2,000 times, failed. So every failure, as Professor said this morning, this doesn't work. That's a discovery. So you can always look for something else which works. Adaptability I mentioned, leadership I mentioned, and social and cultural awareness, that is part of the cultural, number 6 and 16 are related. So this is what every Indian by 2047 is expected to have. Then only we can survive as an independent nation in the Committee of Nations. Now, I spoke about a few skills you should have. Now you will find within 5 years, the ranking of the skills have gone tremendous change. 2015 and 2020, 5 years. You have 10 points over there, you have 10 points in 2020, and you will find complex problem solving, which was on top of the list in 2015, continues to be so in 2020. But if you look at others, people management, which came from 3rd position to 4th position. There's a lot of study involved in that. But this happened in 5 years' time. In 5 years, this can happen. By 2047, there is a huge evolution. This is called an evolution. It's not a dramatic revolution taking place. So you will find creativity, which was 10th 5 years ago in 2015, has come to 3rd position over there. Active listening, EQ, a few things have come. Creativity from 10 to 3. Critical thinking from 4 to 2. Judgment 8 to 7. And this is very important. A study of this table will give you how the skill set itself is changing over a 5-year period. I am not referring to larger period of time. So what will be the type of jobs you can look for? Morning, Jalil gave you a great idea of the AI jobs in store, which is frightening. There is no scope for any of us as human beings. We will be totally dehumanized, and we will come under the evil spice of the robots. But let me give you just one example. Data analysts, data, professor has showed you data, knowledge, wisdom. Data, information, knowledge, wisdom. That is hierarchy. In that hierarchy, the data, the fundamental thing itself becomes great. Now, most of us are saying that data mining, data gathering is very important, and you can find meaning. And you can attribute significance, if and only if you have data. If you do not have data, you have not only anecdotes. And anecdotes do not make data. A single case may be right. That's what happened. But unless you have a statistically significant number of cases with you, it never becomes a statistical data. So data is different from anecdotes. And today, 1,000 crores are being used in a Bombay company for data work alone, in the private equity capital. So you can imagine the business interest in data acquisition. A private company is employing about 1,000 crores from public market money and using for data science. So that is where all the jobs will be. And you get a BSc data, MSc data analysis, and you get PhDs. So that's the type of emerging jobs. You should be data manipulators and finding meaning immediately on seeing the data. That is very similar to the pattern recognition which we did. We tried to do a pattern recognition over there. That is data analysis. You know your height, and therefore you stood according to height. That was data mining which you did. But when you did that, you never knew this is what data mining is. So that's what it comes. Then you can be a strategic advisor only. You can extrapolate and interpolate the data. And extrapolation of data happens only if you are familiar with the data. That is why the future role will be advice in the morning. It is the cheapest commodity. That's what the professor said. Yes, I agree with him. It's the cheapest commodity. But to give even the cheapest commodity, you should be very familiar with the data analysis. Then you will have a number. The 3rd position will be for the Internet of Things specialists. You should be very familiar with that. And digital transformation specialists. You have a digital configuration available for an operating system, and if you can change that with your critical thinking and creativity, you will be the master of the ceremony. And marketing strategy, that will also be digital. Then there will be big data analysts, the insurance companies. the high demographic dividend, all these things will be based on data. And AI, artificial intelligence and machine learning experts. How many of you use Chat GPT for your examination purposes? Have you tried? Any of you have tried Chat GPT for writing a school composition teacher has asked you to write? Try it. It will work wonderfully well. Of course, teachers may find fault with you. The problem is, many people are thinking, don't use Chat GPT. Please use Chat GPT. But stand on the shoulders of Chat GPT. Use this as the basic material. Add value to that. Then your teacher will be jumping with joy. If you give a Chat GPT output straight to the teacher, you will get firing. But if you have worked and added your creativity and innovation to that Chat GPT, which you need only 5 minutes work, because you have a sound, solid base with you. So stand on the shoulders of Chat GPT, add a little value, put it to the teacher, you will be on top of the class. So I am in favor of Chat GPT. Learn it thoroughly. But there is a hidden danger in that. I must tell you also. For example, I did a Chat GPT for my boss, Dr. Anil Kakotkar. So I read, please write an essay on Dr. Anil Kakotkar. Okay. Anil Kakotkar is a renowned Indian nuclear engineer. Perfect. Second sentence. He graduated from IIT Bombay. Now, Anil Kakotkar did not graduate from Bombay, IIT. Because IIT Bombay is the largest institution in India, the logic algorithm used was the best engineer should have come from IIT Bombay. He has come from VJTI Bombay. That is a fact which is known only to those who work with him. So you will find apparently logically tight statements coming from ChatGPT. And teacher may also pass that. So you have to apply your discretion and critical thinking. If you apply your critical thinking to ChatGPT and add creative to that, you are on top of the world. So without ChatGPT, you are not going to improve. All of us will be experts in ChatGPT. Cyber security, that was already discussed here. Then software application developers. At the moment, we were all attracted by the gravity of software. But developing application software for specific things, the total number of liters of water required for my house in the kitchen, I should have a numerical value for that. I drink 2 liters of water. I have 5 members in the family, 10 liters. So to have 10 liters of water in the kitchen, what should be the algorithm I should use? So that is data mining coupled with artificial thinking. Then you have reliability evaluation engineers. That is, engineers will be looking at whether the systems are perfect, robust, and reproducible. These are the jobs that will be vanishing in a whiff. There will be no clerks. If you look at this, Mahabharata, in Mahabharata, Lord Vyasa narrated and Ganapati wrote the text. And C. Rajagopalachari translated Mahabharata into English and he wrote Ganapati the scribe. The scribe, and he wrote a longer word for scribe called amanuensis. Amanuensis means one who writes. That was a great job in Mahabharata times, writing others' texts. Then it became IAS officers, their clerks, PAs and all that. But today, nobody keeps a clerk, even in government positions, all these, so you cannot aspire for a clerical post. Although many of us started as LDC, UDC. We take our management degrees in higher institutions of learning like the Wharton School, Harvard Business School, and so on. But We don't need managers in future because management is the art of getting work done through others. If you are able to do that work by yourself, you don't need a manager. That's the difference between management. And management also means to manage. To manage means to handle. In fact, the metaphor is a horse is running away and you are trying to control and tame the horse. So you assume that all the people working under you are horses and they are running away in different directions and your business is to coordinate them. That concept of management has gone and there will be no posts available on that. Human relations specialists also will vanish because your computer will take care of. Excel sheets will give you better inputs than HR. You will not dig deep into for copper mines, uranium mines, aluminum mines, bauxite. None of this mining will be done because that will be against sustainability. So geochemical engineering will be less in demand. Mechanics and repairers, we have a large number of these shops around. You will have quick replacements of the parts and this type of jobs will vanish. Occupational health workers. Occupational health workers are people who measure the concentration of toxic materials in the air. If you are using a benzene factory and if the amount of benzene in the air comes to about 100 parts per million, it has to be stopped. Now, that means policing and monitoring and constantly evaluating. The system will work in such a way that 100 ppm of benzene will never come to the air. So there will be no occupational health workers, sisters and other medical staff also will not do it because there will be no violation of that. Assembly and factory workers will go away. There will be, of course I should not mention it here, many of you are aspiring for a career in accountancy and financial engineering. That job is also down the drain. Because PR and publicity, public relations, most of us magnify our achievements. But you cannot cheat the people with the figures. People are very intelligent. You don't need to be told what to believe. So public relations, highly paid posts in public relations and publicity, that will all go down the drains. Okay. Babu, what is time now? So I have 5 minutes. Okay. I'll quickly tell you the 5 mindsets which all of you should have. All of us have one mindset. We are single-minded, highly devoted. Oh, so we have time. Okay. So I am now trying to tell you that we should have not one mindset. We cannot spend 85 years of our life with one mindset. Let us accept that fact. So we need this is the international baccalaureate syllabus, that is the 12th equivalent, which is taught all over the globe. And they are saying you should have 5 different mindsets. That is what is being taught to international baccalaureate. This is called the disciplined mindset. First one, we should know one subject thoroughly. Sir C.V. Raman, who got a Nobel Prize in physics, knew physics well. In fact, he knew Raman effect well. He didn't know anything else. So that type of Raman's knowledge, extremely useful for getting a Nobel Prize at that point of time. Although it is necessary, it is only 1/5 of what you should have. Or you take Liz Meitner. Liz Meitner was the first lady who found out that uranium can be split and atomic energy or atomic bomb can be created. Now, she knew all about uranium atom, nothing beyond that. Raman knew all about Raman spectra. So this type of knowledge of Raman spectra and uranium fission are not enough in the future. So deep knowledge, although desirable, is not the ultimate. That is one mindset, and you should look for another 4 mindsets. So we have, that's a disciplined mindset I told you. Now you should have a synthesizing mindset. You should be able to take 2 things, like rice and black gram for making your dosha. You cannot make dosha with your rice alone. You cannot make your dosha with black gram alone. So the combination of rice and black gram for making your masala dosha is the same idea coming here. To synthesize the masala dosha, you need a synthesizing mindset. And that comes from Mendeleev. What did Mendeleev do? All the 118 elements of the chemical periodic system has brought into an order. So from hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, you can give all the 118 elements from hydrogen to aganiston, and there is a pattern in that. The pattern which you tried over here is the same pattern which you find in the periodic table. We found a pattern, a man-made, human-made pattern. Now, extremely different. A metal like gold and another one like mercury, all of them were put in a neat little place and they cannot be put anywhere else. So that remarkable capability of placing a material in a unique place in the periodic table. So he evolved the periodic table because it was not that he was knowing hydrogen alone, he was knowing all of them equal. Now this is Marie Curie. Marie Curie was good at physics and chemistry at the same time. And today in 12th standard International Baccalaureate, physics and chemistry are coming together as physical sciences, not as physics and chemistry. Whereas most of us have studied as two distinct disciplines, it has already merged across the world. So physical sciences, life sciences, geospace sciences, and engineering sciences. That's the four method we are following. And classical example is Mendeleev and Marie Curie. Marie Curie, both for her physics and chemistry, and got Nobel Prizes for both. So it is possible not to have the Raman's Nobel laureate, it is possible to have Marie Curie's Nobel Prize. Then you should be able to make something very different. That is, you have to add masala to your dosha. And that masala addition was done by Albert Einstein and by Venkataraman. Now, Venki Ramakrishnan is a Nobel laureate in biological life sciences. And Albert Einstein said, matter and energy, which are two different things, are the same. That needs a lot of imagination. Matter is something which we see, which we can handle, like the coconut oil over here. And energy is the vapor which comes out as burning. He said that this oil and this flame they came are the same. For us it was different. That needs a remarkable synthesis. And this is what we call the creating mindset. So you should have a disciplined mindset, you should have a synthesizing mindset, and you should have a creating mindset, which both Einstein and Venki Ramakrishnan have shown. So these three mindsets are driven home in all the international baccalaureate syllabus systems at the 12th standard, 11 and 12. And you should have a respectful mindset. This is required because if you are not in one geography and you are moving to another, you will find differences in customs, behavior, fashion, style, everything, and you should be able to tolerate. And Abdul Kalam, with whom I had the privilege of working, very respectful. Whatever nonsense I do, he will say very good. So that is of a very high order. Once he was wearing an inner wear, a banyan, which had a large number of holes. So we asked him, sir, when will you remove this? How many holes should be there? Then he said, no, it is not the number of holes which is important. It is the diameter of the hole that is important. If the hole becomes too large, the cloth will be too different. But he had a sense of humor. He never humiliated the person who asked, when will you remove this? What is the total number of holes that should appear on your innerwear so that you remove it? He said, no, it is not the number, it is the diameter which is important. So that amount of humor, that's a respect for, it is not a stupid question that is being asked. Now, this is the sustainability lady. And the Austrian Prime Minister, today sustainability can be defined only by the word she used. Sustainability is the ability to use the resources of the world currently without damaging the consequences for the generations to come. That is why everything is on a sustainable basis. Then we should have an ethical mindset. Now, an ethical mindset, ethics we have studied. Most of us say you should not tell lies. But if a lie can save a life or can avoid an embarrassment, why not tell a lie? As long as it does no harm, an innocent lie, can we tell an innocent lie? That's an ethical question. Now, to evaluate that, Dr. Radhakrishnan will say, according to Indian scriptures, never tell a lie, no matter what the consequences are. But if you ask Michael Sandel of the Harvard University, he will ask you to do an experiment. This is the experiment he will ask you. This is a thought experiment. In science, we do physical experiments like this. We also do thought experiments. Imagine for a moment, there is a railway track and an engine is coming over here. The engine is traveling. At that Y junction, the brake fails. You cannot stop the engine. You can either turn to the left or turn to the right. If you turn to the left, your principal and vice principal are traveling on the track. If you turn to the right, 5 teachers, your physics, chemistry, biology, maths, all 5 teachers are working. So will you turn to the left or will you turn to the right? That's the question. You have no choice. The engine is in full gear. You have only steering control. What will you do and what will you not do? Both are important. Will you turn to the left or right? You have no other choice, left or right. You're either a leftist or a rightist. Lesser number, oh, yeah. A remarkable formula was evolved, lesser number of people. That means you'll turn to the left. Okay, yes. Now let's expand on this metaphor. Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay. Now let's do a little more thinking on that. There is a bridge over that, and your father is standing on top of the bridge, and he is weighing 120 kilograms. Just push him in front, it will stop. Will you do that? Will you sacrifice your 100 kg weighing father? Or will you turn to the left or to the right? Because this is a classical case which Harvard business people teach. Michael Sanders is famous for this thought experiment. But this is how ethical problems will come. Not as bad as this, but in equally worse situations. So you will have to think of thought experiments of this nature and how will you respond. So 2047, 100 years of Indian independence, Government of India wants us to think this. Our education and skill set has to be reformulated. And it has to be reformulated with these 4 key corner principles. Sustainability. That is, we have 8 billion people on earth. We have 1.4 billion Indians in this country. So 1.4 billion into the number of items you consume per day. And that is the sustainability question. Can we do that or not? If I am drinking 2 liters of water, 104 billion people will need 2.8 billion liters of water per day. Do we have that? So the multiplication factor is very high. If everybody wears, I will have 4 grams of gold with me. If every Indian wants 4 grams of gold, how much gold we should have? So ask this numerical question. Then you will find we can't have sustainability. Then your global leadership. At the moment, we are competing at the district level, at the state level, or at the national level. But in most of the other universities, even if you go to a university of Singapore University, Singapore Management University, or National Technology University, or Nanyang Technical University, you will be meeting the nearest place where you get global competition is why you try to enter these universities. And you should have that global mindset to enter, and not only you may be able to enter, but to remain there. And to come out successfully, you need all the 5 mindsets I referred a short while ago. Then the innovation hub. What you did yesterday, you cannot do today. You should be able to do with less energy and less materials. All your activities will be, today we are material intensive, and we have to be less material intensive. Today we are using energy intensive. So energy and material, mass and energy which Einstein spoke of, has to come down. Then only we can survive. The global capacity of population is, let us say, 20 billion. That's upper limit the world can, this planet can hold. That will need a limiting factor. Can we do that? Then self-reliance. Why self-reliance? Because logistics will be at a disadvantage. You cannot produce in one place at a low cost and transmit over a long distance because the carbon footprint will be very high. To see that the carbon footprint is lost, every action has to be weighed in the grudging scales. How many carbon dioxide molecules will come out if I speak here? If I use this, how many kilowatt hours and how much carbon dioxide will go to the air? Everything will be weighed in terms of carbon dioxide. So carbon neutrality is the essence. If you want to go to Sultanpet either by walk or by a scooter, you will think, should I have a carbon footprint or not? Today we are not thinking of that, but it will be increasingly difficult for us to think non-carbon way. So that's the education skill set which we need. So, what should we do? This is a metaphor which all students should keep in mind. You can walk in life, that's what the horse shows, 5 kilometers per hour. That's the speed at which a normal horse walks. But the same horsepower, you can do trotting. That is a double the speed of walking horse, that is 10 kilometers per hour. And you can be a cantering horse with 15 kilometers per hour. But the objective is to become a galloping horse. That is at a speed of 50 kilometers, 10 times that is the walking speed, 3 times that is the trotting speed. That's what expect. And it is possible for the same horse to walk, to canter, to trot, and to gallop. So 2047 skill set will enable you to be a galloping horse rather than a walking horse. If you absorb the right amount of skills in the right quality and in the right measure, the walking horse can be converted into the galloping horse. And the basic educational tool today available is to bring all our syllabus to make you galloping horses. This is a refined version of what I spoke a little earlier. A few more things were added because 12th on service orientation, troubleshooting and user experience, systems analysis based on statistics, and persuasion and negotiation, that is management. That's only component of the Harvard management which will be retained over here. So we find today we have done a lot of online learning. 41% will be doing internal learning and development by oneself. I am not speaking of a teacherless world, but the COVID has taught us to do online learning. And many of us have absorbed a lot of ideas online. That will become the new normal. There will be a new normal of education and you should be able to educate yourself. And external online training will come and there will be specific tailor-made fabricated training providers for you. The number of public educational institutions will be less. Don't think that IITs will multiply. IITs will decrease in number. And there will be public training providers rather than institutions. And there will also be an equal number that public-private ratio by 2047 is expected to be the same. But you will get the same quality from both sources. So with that, I stop my form. I'll just conclude two important things for all of you. Don't have one mindset. You need 5 mindsets. However great one mindset is, it's not enough. You must have 5 mindsets. And that is what all the 12th standard leading school students are having today. The leading schools 12th standard, which I call the international baccalaureate, are endowed with these skills. And we are going to compete with that. And that's where we find the difference today. How fast we can bridge this gap, on that depends our future. And that depends on our teachers and our education institutions. So I stop here. I can take a few questions. Any questions you have or differing opinions?
The session is now open for queries.
Sir, you have mentioned about the 5 mindsets the children should develop by the time they finish the 12th. So how we can achieve that with the help of teachers in the schools?
That's a very good question, but I have no schools and I am not the principal of a teacher training school to change. The B.Ed syllabus should immediately change. That is what Kasturirangan says.
Come again, sir?
NEP 2020,
What syllabus?
the school syllabus should change completely. That is why the new educational policy NEP 2020 written by Kasturi Rangan is very important. The 3 educational policies of India have been written by scientists. And all the 3, 2 were engineers and 1 was a scientist. We had Kalam who wrote 2020, we have Anil Kakotkar who wrote 2035, and we have Kasturi Rangan who wrote 2020. Now 2020 very clearly states that there should be flexibility in learning, that school should provide a mixed basket to all students, and they will be able to pick up whatever they choose. And if the choice is guided by the teachers, all the 5 mindset can be easily developed. So converting an Indian ethos in education to a global mindset, to a global education level, by giving all these 5 mindsets in equal measure is possible if NEP is implemented properly. But for implementation of NEP, the teacher training program should change. That means our B.Ed syllabus should change immediately. That is the way to do that. But many people have done it very successfully. There have been no difficulties on this. And even in India, most of these IB schools, they are following this, and their children. In fact, today, if the IB syllabus you follow, you can predict you are joining IB diploma first year. In 2 years, you can decide in which college, in which branch you want to join across the world. And it is possible to direct the course of that student specifically to that destination. So that's the flexibility available with the IB systems. And that is possible.
So what syllabus? IBC.
Which is syllabus?
So you're talking about that baccalaureate syllabus?
Yeah. The syllabus is not very different. It is the way the syllabus is being taught. Let's see, for example, physics. The physics is normally taught even at a BSc level in our colleges by a professor who is physics. But in IB, physics is taught by a mechanical engineer. That means whatever physics is there, how that physics is being applied. And that is the engineering mindset which is given to the student in the 11th standard. So physics is taught by a mechanical engineer, chemistry is taught by a chemical engineer, and economics is taught by a finance manager, not by a MA economics. So you will find the teacher orientation itself is different. And the syllabus is universal. There has been no problem with the syllabus. A Chinese IBDP and an Indian IBDP and a US IBDP, they come on the same par.
Sir, that word is not clear. IPDP, you told about a syllabus that is called
International Baccalaureate Diploma Program.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Also, please remember the masala dosa all the time in your life. It's very important how to make. Yeah. The whole science and technology and success of life is in masala dosa. How to make the best masala dosa. If you want to see that, you can see a TED talk on nuclear masala dosa. Nuclear masala dosa, that's made more sophisticated.
Sir, you mentioned about doctors getting specialized in each part of our human body.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we are clubbing all the sciences into 4 different classes. Physical sciences,
Physical,
life sciences, geo, and the engineering sciences.
Yeah.
So that means we will be having the knowledge of, this is engineering sciences means all the engineering sciences will be, we should have the knowledge of all.
Fundamentals. You don't need specific knowledge. That mindset will be created.
Mindset, okay.
That when you read a newspaper, you will be able to understand and appreciate without being an engineer. That is the beauty about it.
That's fundamentals. We should
Very
know the fundamentals
essentials,
of
yes.
all sciences.
All the essentials will be known. And that is the minimum required for a decent living. That's
As you said, we should have at least 50% average in all sciences,
Okay, yes.
instead of becoming excellent in one
No,
and
you don't follow
mediocre
that.
in other one.
No.
Okay, thank you.
That's why I put it that way. Any comments? Not questions. Differing opinions? That's most welcome. No, no, deep knowledge is bad. You should have average knowledge. You should always be average. Yeah. Yes. That great change is happening in Delhi. The education system is undergoing a remarkable transformation. There is. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yes. Yes, that's value addition. Yes. Yeah. Chat GPT helps you to think at a higher level, beyond Chat GPT. But if you simply copy it and all, then teachers will catch you. So Chat GPT, be expert on that. And you should steal without being caught by the police. That's the beauty. So we stop here? Yes. Yes. In information.
Because in our childhood time and our school times, suppose we want to write an essay about one particular subject, that we make some ideas and we have some vision which we will dream it and we put it on the paper. Then we correct the grammar and vocabulary, whatever it is. Then when we present to the teacher, he will go through it, and if the idea is there, the things are in shape, then he will guide us to make it in a proper way. Here already in a Chat GPT, a test, beautiful test is coming with very good vocabulary and words and other things. But our students, if unless they think, as you said, beyond that test, whatever is given from the Chat GPT, there won't be any use, because their creativity level used in that test is a big zero. And even if they modify it, to what extent? They can change maybe 5%, 10%, 15%. So I feel ultimately that will kill the basic creativity of a thinking student. That is what I feel.
Yeah.
I don't know, I may be wrong also.
No, there is a merit in your argument that starting from the original, coming to the Chat GPT is left to the student. See, for example, if I want to write an essay, I had to go to British Council, sit for one day and prepare and come back. That was the labor involved. That is a labor-saving device, it is given to you. But only thing is, don't accept it in toto. Somebody has done your homework and improve on the homework. Instead of 15%, I would say 50% you should improve. So your creativity should be used for increasing the content of the Chat GPT. That's the minimum. We have got a minimum in our hand. Standard is high, naturally. It needs a higher order thinking of creativity. So that labor work has gone from the library to Chat GPT. And most of the journalists you ask, they are working on Chat GPTs only.
Nowadays, to make a project, it is easy for the college students and all.
Yes.
Because they just go to Google and they get the things and
also
copy-paste.
you should see that plagiarism test is applied, 10% it should not exceed.
Yeah.
10% is tolerated on that.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's about the idea of specialization. Like you told that we have to specialize in one field. At the same time, we have to keep the mindsets of all the other fields. So how will we get this exposure? Like now it's like if I'm a 12th student, I just passed out, I'm going to college, I'm doing a degree on a particular field, even if it's a B.Tech, if it's in a physics, maths, chemistry, in any other region. So how will we get this, exposure of the other fields? Like what's there in this, and how can we, get that interest on that, or how can we look at it? Like as a career point of view, how can we take some other field when you are still in this field, like to get that exposure?
Very intelligent question and a very problematic one. So the NEP has decided that anybody who takes a graduate degree should be interned
I request Club President Lion Khadija Rahmatullah to hand over the memento to Dr. APJ Raman as a token of love and respect. Thank you, sir and madam.